Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for coming. Today we're just gonna do some light talk. Just a story about what we have done in terms of using Ocata in the past and what we learned from it. My name is Ceph Jewel I'm a CEO of a NIPA Cloud team. My co-author, Mr. Chin Basert, he's a Chief Innovation Officer from our company, and also Mr. Komkrit Viengviset, he's a Principal of OpenStack Engineer. And I'm going to be the one who do all the presentation, but if you have any questions, he will, if I can answer, they will back me up. Okay, we're going to move a little bit fast. We're going to get out by 9:30. Okay, a little bit background on our company here, NIPA Cloud. We founded in 1996, and we have about 180 employees. And we have 3 sites of our public cloud with 24/7 availability. And the way we built this thing, we start off by doing the data center first in year 2008, and then we provide the public cloud 2017 and private cloud later on. And now we at this point of NIPA Cloud Space, which is our newest public cloud. Okay, we call NIPA Cloud Space, but we're going to talk about the one at the year 2017. And we have all the ISO standard 27001, 20000-1, and 29110. And the latest one we got is a Cloud Alliance, CSA Star, Cloud Security Alliance, CSA Star. That's what we got, all the standards here. We are the gold member of Open Infra Foundation. We use OpenStack, Ceph, and Tungsten Fabric. And our partner is Juniper for our network, the whole network using Juniper. And hardware we use Tyan, and all AMD for the latest one that we provide with the public cloud. Okay, it's chronicle of how we build this OpenStack public cloud. We're going to go through all this, how we inspired to get started. We're going to talk about that. What is our cloud journey? Why we go with cloud? Why open source? Why OpenStack? And then we look into the strategy and decision that we made. And then at the time, we picked Ocata as our public cloud, our first one. And what happened when we scale? And is it good to use OpenStack for public cloud? And what's the lesson we learned, and what's the future work that we have here? Okay, why cloud technology? Why open source? We at the time when we built our data center back in 2010, we want to do some search engine at the time, but it's too much investment in terms of trying to crawl all the information around the world, let alone talking about the information in Thailand. So also Google just came in at that time to Thailand, so I think there's no way that we can fight with them and compete with them. So we changed from that kind of data center to a co-location business, but again, that's another state competition in terms of data center business. So high cost of the investment and basically no innovation at the time. And so we look for something to add to our data center with the innovation. And we do a lot of market research at the time. Cloud computing will become the one to be reckoned with down the road. So we also look at AWS, which has inspired us to try to do the cloud provider for us at the time. Another question we have is if we have to build everything from scratch, it's going to be a lot of investment and it take too long. Okay, so we look to open source, and we found a number of projects at the time, as you may all know, is CloudStack, Eucalyptus, Nimbus, OpenStack, and OpenNebula. So all these are open source at the time that we look at, and obviously, we end up with OpenStack. I think this is a lot of work that we have to do. We visit OpenStack. if you look at this one, they start off with many of them, but the first one I visit is back in 2015. This is right here, Vancouver, and that's the first OpenStack that I attend. And it happened at the other building, I think. And then after that, we go to Tokyo, Austin, Barcelona, and Boston, and then Sydney. Our team went to Sydney, and that's when we decide, okay, this is the one, and we're going to work hard on that, try to move everything the way we want to do. Last year, we were at Berlin, and we opened a booth in Berlin. We make a paper presentation there. This year we have a team here. We got 2 more papers after this on tomorrow at 11 o'clock and also at 4 o'clock tomorrow as well. So the strategy and the decision for us to move with OpenStack, we need to forecast what's going to happen if we're going to go with that. What's the problem, what we can expect, and what we don't expect to happen. How can we make OpenStack and Ceph to work seamlessly? That's still, a lot of unknowns for us, a lot of bugs. We have a lot of bugs at the time because it's all open source. We never done anything on that level before. What's the degree of difficulties with so many complex models within the OpenStack? And the 2 problems that we like to talk about is the installation environment. We decided to go with OpenStack-Ansible, VM direct to Open vSwitch, and DVR with the reschedule. And we try all this, and it worked nicely. So the second problem that we found, we encounter is that when we go with the public cloud, how can you make it easier for the user to provision? Horizon is the one that you all know, but it's for admin portal. It's not really for the user portal. A lot harder to use, and if you have so many people on Horizon, it's going to crash for you. So you need to assemble a dev team to build a new user portal, and that's what we have to do. There's no good open source available at the time, and this is one of the big unforeseen hurdles. We have to write the code for the user portal. That's always a challenge. And the user portal, you have to incorporate the metering and the payment calculation, because you have to build a pay-as-you-go model and as a public cloud service. So at the time when we visit all this thing, I found CloudKitty was the something that's doing similar thing, but actually we try is not really give us the answer to go with the public cloud on that one. Okay, so apart from those 2 previous technical issues that we have, is the installation and the user portal. We have to overcome another one more business decision that need to be carefully chosen. That if we start off, should we start off with the private cloud and then or public cloud first, or both? We knew right from the beginning that OpenStack supposed to be for the private cloud, right? Usually that's all we know at the time. Not for public cloud, but we have to decide what we want to start off with. And so our goal is to add value to our data center and at the time. So if you go with private cloud, actually you don't really need the data center to do that. And so our strategy to start providing public cloud first, so that we have reputation, and if we later on people will ask us, can you do private cloud? I think that's make a lot of sense. We have reputation now, and so make it easier for us to do the private cloud for anyone who would like to move in that direction. But again, public cloud, you need a huge investment, and without good reputation, it's going to be hard for us to move into the private cloud. So chicken and egg something. You have to decide what you want to go with that. Okay, Ocata is the beginning of our first public cloud here. We launched the production in 2017 as a public cloud. We use Ocata and Ceph Jewel. okay? So we do like a pilot test. I think we do 4 of them, and the last one is the one we use for the production, okay? So our team is doing that at the time, and we learned a lot from the mistake, especially in the hardware design, especially when we use local disk for a faster speed instead of using volume disk. But we have a wrong design at the beginning, so we can't go with the volume disk because it's going to be too slow at that time. So we have to go with the local disk. So at the production stage, we also encounter with the operation. Our operation team has a hurdle of trying to work with the local disk, which always have problem like a live migration. It took so long, and auto backup snapshot, it need a full copy, not an incremental at the time. So, and also having your own data center giving you a lot of edge in terms of testing, and we own now, like I mentioned earlier, that we have our own data center, and we use it a lot. We can control traffic in and out the way we want it. So really, it's good for us. We changed the name of our data center to be our innovation lab. And okay, so after we learned for a year, we really convinced that we have made the right move to go with the public cloud because it's much harder than the private cloud. And the only real competitor at the time is our idol, AWS. Okay, so that's our goal, to trying to compete with that, which is really, at the time when you say something like that, it's really sound ridiculous. You're going to compete with AWS, and I think at this point there's 2 different levels. I think they're way up there. We're going to climb up, to the middle of the pack and then see if we can compete in terms of pricing with them. So when scale, what happened? The challenge number 1 is that OpenStack installation, and the difficulty for open source is that we have to train and develop staff, perform a lot of R&D as we grow, and then when we scale, the following problem happened is that when we first launched, we only test for 10 VMs at a time, and network performance at that time we use only 10 gig as our backbone. The new one, the newest public cloud, we call public cloud space, we use backbone 100 gig, so completely different than this one. So when we go up to 100 VMs, it shows sign of the bottlenecks. Okay, so also when the problem with the local disk as well, due to our bad design for the Ceph, then we should have understand the Ceph software way before we start designing it. Okay, so we have a lot of tuning to do, and we want to do the volume storage at the time, but it did not pass performance, so we got to go back to drawing board in terms of a hardware design for the storage. It's very critical at the time, but yeah, that's why we didn't really try to upgrade the old one, build a new one, install the new version, which is we're going to talk about a little bit later. But problem with the live migration, again, it should take too much time, and because of the local disk attached with the VM, okay? So make it so long to do that, and it's not really feasible when you perform it at the production level. Okay, when we have more VMs, that means we got to do more snapshot and the backup, and we need more memory to perform. So the memory spike, and when particular server ran out of memory, then it crashed. Those are the challenges that we have to deal with. Number 2, the user portal for public cloud. Okay, this is a hard one. We call this user portal, we call it the NIPA Cloud Platform, or NCP. Horizon is written by the community. It's an admin portal, like I said before, high learning curve, and it's not really suitable for user portal due to inability to handle high traffic with low latency. Okay, so Horizon is good for private cloud, not for public cloud. If you're going to go with the private cloud, Horizon is more than good enough. and you need to develop your own portal to communicate and control with OpenStack through the API engine here. When we develop that thing, then we decide to add the UX UI design to it, and then pay-as-you-go model is really needed for 3 components: login and verify user, measure usage of our component, metering, because we want to measure by hour. Okay, payment gateway, which really allow you to do cancel anytime. So is OpenStack good for public cloud? Okay. I think after 2 years, what we can or we cannot improve as the time passes. OpenStack community developed to a new version every 6 months, as we all know. We can do update and upgrade. When I say update, it means horizontally, right? We did that until the end of line for the Ocata. But in order for us to upgrade to a Pike version at the time, we study a lot, and I think we decide not to upgrade because of the risk of downtime and unknown complexity of the newer version. Because if you upgrade it, it could affect the older public cloud customers, at which we don't want to create a problem with the SLA. I think we promised them with the SLAs of 99.5, and we need to keep in that range. So, and also the other thing is that we have to deal with the problem with the Open vSwitch, okay, when we scale. I think a lot of you probably done something. If you do that in that direction, Open vSwitch will give you some headache if you want to scale more than 1,500, 2,000 VMs. You can talk to me later on about how the problem is, but I think it's not working the way we want it to be. So that's why we switch from Open vSwitch to the we use Tungsten Fabric, the whole new open source for the network part. Okay, and Ocata in production is still good, still great, and it right now I think hit the range of 1,000 VM to 1,500 VM. Many problems surface like auto backup. We want to use the backup with the incremental backup, okay. But the old one doesn't give us that. So if we can use the incremental backup, it takes a lot less time. So that's why we need to move to Tungsten Fabric, which is using a new protocol. Internal is the BGP. When you go outside, it's definitely BGP also. So it's good. Okay. And so in summary, pros for using OpenStack as a public cloud is that no licensing fee, no need to start from scratch, source code available from the community, scale up to a certain level, okay? No major bugs, especially in advanced feature. I think now is even better. But there's a cons on that. One is that you cannot do performance scaling design for private cloud more than public cloud. And I think that's a lot of things you gotta take into account if you want to go with the public cloud. You need to develop your own user portal. I think lately I heard of community start working on it. It's called Skyline. Maybe you can look into that. So there's no metering and no payment model at the time. I'm not sure what we have now. Okay. So what lesson learned from doing all this is that I think in the beginning when we first started, we can launch in the production with the scale small. Is you're kind of proud of doing it, that we can do it successfully. But as we grow, we did not foresee the load. When the load ramp up, it affects the operations. Operation team gotta be really strong and really work hard trying to support our users. It's still, it's always easy to fix any problem if it's still under private cloud territory. If we have some, as you can see our timeline at the beginning, we have some private cloud customer, which is the banking industry. Working with the banking industry, but still, working with private cloud is a lot easier than public cloud because you deal with small group that they can tolerate you if you explain to them good enough, okay? But once you deploy as a public cloud, technical support in each cluster is very crucial and important. So we have to maintain the SLA at the highest level as we can. And the user portal has also a lot of difficulty, but we kept pushing to add more features. You have to have a dev team, and somehow you gotta work a lot on those software development. Right now, I think we have good enough to do all the basic feature with all the user portal. But as you know that as you move up to the advanced level, you're competing with AWS or Google Cloud or Microsoft. Those are the three hyperscalers, right? But then in Thailand, you have Huawei, Tencent, Alibaba Cloud. You gotta compete with as well, okay? So most of the time now, you gotta do a lot of automation. You gotta write a lot of code. You can do it manually, but people like to have automation. So those are the obstacles that we have to deal with, okay? And the question is always asked, is it worth it by trying to try a public cloud? I think I would say yes, we have now more than 1,000 VM running on production. It generates over 2 million baht, $2 million in revenue for the past 3 years, okay, and it's still going. It's still in the production that we can use them nicely. The most important thing is that we learn a lot from it by getting out of all-in-one. I think a lot of you done OpenStack in all-in-one, and once you get out of that, you're gonna learn tremendously and jump from 1 node to 10 node to 100 node to a few hundred nodes. That's a really big difference in terms of learning. Our team has acquired that kind of insight enormously, and we get rid of all the fear, especially in working with the virtualization or hypervisor. KVM is at open source at the time, and we were not sure that we can get it to perform in the real production. But now I think we don't have any more fear. I think we are really deal with it confidently. And our future work is, we need to improve the performance of our public cloud. We have to do a lot of R&D, and Ocata cluster, we started with the Intel CPU at the time, and we noticed that all the hyperscaler provide option for AMD, which was very popular at the time, and but if you're gonna use both of them, you have to deal with the migration. When doing migrate from Intel to AMD, it's not feasible. It may take longer, or you may have a downtime on that one. But if you move from Intel lower version to a newer one, it's you can do a live migration on that one. But again, if you look at the Intel, the strong point of AMD, the strong point of AMD over Intel is that the number of cores is more than Intel. Okay, and its price is cheaper and faster per core, and that's a good thing at this point. So when you provide OpenStack as a public cloud, the higher number of core, the lower the price. So price performance is very important to us. So our new cluster, NIPA Cloud Space, they are all using AMD. We have not gone to mix it up with Intel on the new one. And so we launched our new cluster in March 2022. We call NIPA Cloud Space, and so in this version we're using OpenStack Victoria, and the Ceph we're using Octopus, and then with the tungsten fabric, with the backbone, like I said, 100 gig, and our user portal is all brand new. We overhauled it, we rewritten the whole thing. Okay, now what we have done in terms of the old cluster, Ocata one, what we do is now we need a process of migrating our old customer to the new one, newer cluster, and then the old one we're gonna donate to the education and non-profit organization to in terms of paying back to the society. That's what we did, and also the main reason we can do that is because OpenStack is open source. Okay, when we use our open source, when you donate to someone, you don't have to pay for the license, which is really good thing in terms of using it in that direction. If you don't do that, I think education and also the non-profit organization, they can use basic feature to do a lot of computation the way they want it. I think it's very useful in that direction. So my last one is that the doing all this is the worthiness is the self-development and learning, as well as why we're here. We're sharing with the community what we learn as a public cloud to provide OpenStack as a public cloud, and it's really provide the foundation for infrastructure for Thailand. And I think this is it took so long for us to get here, but I think in terms of the future, our team is really so bright in terms of providing infrastructure for Thailand itself. So if you need to contact our team here, say, email or Twitter, and then we have also YouTube channel at NIPA Cloud here as well. Okay, all right. I'm doing 26 minutes. If you have any question, please come to the mic, and our team can. Okay, please come to the mic so that we can record your voice here. Okay, please come.
Hello.
Hi.
A great presentation, by the way. I was wondering how you handle networking. Like you said, you migrated to 100 gig backbone. Is it like Dell switch you use? What operating system you use there?
Okay.
Juniper, maybe?
Juniper.
Actually, the main reason that we want to create a NIPA Cloud Space is the data center network is too old. It's still 10 gig.
10 gig.
We create the whole new data center network with 100 gig, and from our design we separate it together. It's together, and we as a cloud service provider, we have the international bandwidth link. We move some link from the old one to the new one. Yeah.
How many AZs like in between? Do you have any geographical separation between availabilities? Assuming how do you handle high availability?
High availability of the network. You mean just the network, right? HA.
Sorry.
We have
Dark fiber. Okay. What's the distance in between 1 and 2? Yes.
It's around, I'm not sure, but about 30 kilo. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
30 kilo.
Do you have customers in need of SRLV? You mentioned OVS mainly. Do they use any kind of NFVs in terms of running?
NFV.
Just to compute, right? Primarily. Okay. No, but when you deploy on the top of the OpenStack for a customer, if they need to deploy any kind of vendor firewall, let's say. Like, in a Amazon, you can go like buy Palo Alto, Juniper, and like any kind of other flavor, Cisco routers or firewalls.
Okay, the Tungsten Fabric has a feature called service chaining.
Yes,
It
exactly.
support NFV. We have tried to POC and do some close beta for our customer, like a firewall and a VPN and net gateway. Yeah.
Okay.
But our problem right now is how to manage the NFV to launch that our zone, because we have 2 zones in our region. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Tungsten Fabric has this problem.
Got
It cannot control how to launch this image.
Cool.
Yeah, and instant to that
Last
zone.
question. how do you handle underlying Linux upgrades? It's incremental, right? You, like say if you need to update the version of Linux itself, of the hypervisor operating system.
We have a schedule update in the 3 months because we have the CSA star it have to do. We have a team for operation this one.
And
We will migrate all of the VM to another compute and upgrade all the whole system.
so say how many versions behind you need to see? I'm assuming you don't want to run latest and greatest in production, right? Say, I know some customers, they run 18 or 16 Ubuntu, even like 22 is available now. How do you handle that?
You mean the guest operating system?
No, not guess, the actual hypervisor operating system. What you install on bare metal. Do you stay like few versions behind, or you go just for latest and greatest?
Oh no, we have our lab in the 2 cluster. We need to test it first. If everything is stable, we will upgrade the whole system. Yeah.
You kind of
Because we found a lot of bugs.
Got it, cool. That's one reason. Thank you.
When we implement CSA star, it's really a lot of work we gotta follow. Please.
Quick question. What are your plans for GPU?
Before we go the summit, the POC GPU is in our office. Yeah, I will try this after go back to our office. Yeah, it is our plan.
Yeah, this is our plan. It is our plan, and we got sample from our hardware supplier here. So definitely we'll go there.
Are you going with NVIDIA or AMD GPUs?
NVIDIA. Because I'm no experience with GPU. It's good to start with NVIDIA.
Our supplier from Taiwan, okay, and I just came back from Computex Taipei, and NVIDIA is very popular at the time, last month. Okay, I think thank you all very much, and we can talk later after this. Okay, thank you.